Hi, so I'm going to do a video on my pack that I used for the Coast to Coast back in May. I've had a few messages from people who were interested in the contents of my pack, how I packed it, what gear I used and the weight of the items in my pack. I posted a photo before the walk of my pack all laid out, but I didn't post any weights, and there's quite a few people that are interested in, there's quite a few people that are gram counters. So I'm going to go through one by one. It's been a couple of months since I got back from the walk, but I've repacked my bag as best as I can to match what it was. So I'll take you through my pack, what I used and what I thought of each item. So yeah. So first up is the pack itself. This is the Exped Thunder 50. I'll go through this at the end when it's empty. Talk a bit more about this. So, you know, if you've got bad weather, you're in a rush at the end of the day hiking, the first thing you need to be pulling out is your shelter. The tent I used for the Coast to Coast was the Lanchan 2. I binned off the original pack. It's really tight and it's hard to get back into the pack. So yeah, to save faffing at the start of every day and at the end of every day, trying to force it back in. I used a drive sack, just a basic OEX. I think this is 20 litres. I just shoved it all in here. First out, it's the first thing that I put down when putting the shelter up. This is a very thin and lightweight piece of film that is used to coat windows. You get the idea. I've just gorilla taped the corners and put a hole through it, so if it's windy when I'm pitching up, put pegs through the corners to hold it down, stop it blowing away, and it gives me a clear footprint of where the tent is going to sit. Next out are my pegs. I've binned off the original Lanchan pegs, and these are off Amazon. Just a bit more substantial, a bit stronger. And I use these for all of my camps, to be honest, no matter which tent I take. And then the Lanchan, which I'm not going to get out, there's a few mods on it. It's the brown edition. Absolutely love it. I can't grumble at it. I took it out a couple of weeks ago in Snowdonia. Had a lot of wind and rain and it was absolutely brilliant. So that's my shelter. So there's no tent poles with the Lanchan 2. It's a trekking pole tent, which is a great way of saving weight on big through hikes. So just relies on you having hiking poles, which for this walk I think are essential. I found them to be essential. The poles I used were the Black Diamond trekking poles. They're so light, carbon fibre. Set these to between 115 and 130 centimetres, depending on how high you want the tent to be. I just found these to be absolutely brilliant, and they stopped me doing real damage to my ankle on multiple occasions. They've got cork handles as well, which are great. I mean, I didn't get any rub really whatsoever until the end of the trip. And they're just amazing. I think I used to be a bit of a hiking pole snob. If I was out on a walk, I would think, what are they doing walking with poles? But not anymore. I think you've got to know how to use them. Wrist through the bottom, pull back down onto the pole. So as you're going along, you don't even need to hold it really. It's just a way of using your arms. It's like having extra limbs. So they were a no-brainer, as well as being my tent poles. Some gaffer tape as well, which came in handy when my waterproof coat got damaged. So they are fantastic. On my last camping trip in Snowdonia, I did fall over and have, if you can see, I have bent this end section. But you can order these in sections. I thought I was going to have to invest in a new set of hiking poles, but you can just buy that section for $10.99 off the interweb. So I'll be doing that. So buy new poles. These cost me about £80 at the time from trekkin.com, something like that. Yeah, love them. So the Lanchan comes in at 1.2 kilos, there or thereabouts, because I made a few mods, and that's with pegs and everything as well. It is a bit lighter than that without the additions, but 1.2 kilos for my shelter, I'm happy with that. Another reason to pack it in a dry sack is this. Roll over the top once, squeeze all of the air out, cinch all that material up. I usually kneel on it, all the air out. That just goes in straight at the top of the pack. You can get it a bit smaller than that, get a bit more air out, so that's really cool. Next out my pack is clothes. So first out is what I wore for the majority of the days. This was because I was doing it for MS Society, the MS sports shirt. These were great, so breathable, didn't feel the heat or sweat. They dried really quickly and they got wet as well, so that was great. That's just over 10 grams, 100 grams, just over 100 grams. Same with this one, I kept this for the final couple of days when I was going over the finish line, a bit more colour. It's about 100 grams as well. The shorts are on the shop, I just took one pair of shorts. These were just a cheap pair of Matalan sports shorts. I think next time I would get some shorter actual hiking or running shorts. But these were great, they're fine, comfortable. At this point, take you through my footwear because that will help explain my sock choice. So before the walk began, originally I was going to take my hiking boots, which are the Salomon 4 GTX hiking boots. And I find these really good. Grip, I have to say, I find it a little bit dicey when it's wet. You know, there's quite a bit of grip on there, but it's all quite smooth. And when I fight in not even wet conditions, just damp conditions, I found it, you don't feel like you've got full control of what's under your feet. So I've done a bit of research. I looked into trail runners. After a bit of time, I landed on this baby. So this is what I hiked in. They are the Innovate G270 Terra Ultras. They have a 0 drop, which means, unlike most trainers, the distance from the ground in the heel is the same as the foot. Some people don't like the 0 drop, but I found it no trouble. So the hiking boot is a 330ml can, heavier than the trail runners. That's just one boot. So 2 boots, you're talking about carrying 2 of these over nearly 200 miles. That was a massive factor for me. For your feet to be lugging that much extra weight, no brainer. So I went for the trail runners. Found them very, very comfortable. They've got graphene soles, graphene in the soles. I'm told graphene is the strongest material known to man. That's factual, apparently. Factually, apparently. That doesn't make sense. But no, they were really grippy, even in the wet. And when they got wet, but they would always dry quickly. So that's why I coupled them with waterproof socks. The waterproof socks I decided to go for are 360 dry. I took 2 pairs of these and they come in at about £28. Small company based in Yorkshire. Great customer service. So that's the decision I made with the socks. So these would get wet and let water in straight away, and my feet would stay dry with the waterproof socks, so these would dry out quicker than a walking boot, because once these are wet, these would stay wet for a few days. So didn't make sense really. So comfort, lightweight, breathable. Absolutely love them. In terms of the sole, you can see there is wear on there. So these have pretty much only done the coast to coast. So I might put on screen now the sole. Without the wear, you can see what the coast to coast has done to them. So they're about 200 miles old. Still looking pretty good. Wouldn't hesitate to get another pair of these after these are done. So that was my footwear. My socks, I was in love with them for the first couple of days, and then I don't know whether it was the Vaseline on my feet mixing with the sweat, and my feet were just getting really damp, and I thought they were letting on water. Yeah, so they confused me a bit. Was the water getting in, or was it just sweat or whatever? But there was too much water in there for it to be sweat, so I'm convinced they did fail on me. Whether the Vaseline's got something to do with that, I don't know. But 360 Dry sent these out to me the other day when I told them mine had failed. So that's really good of them. I'm looking forward to using them again. So yeah. So I mentioned I took 2 pairs of these. I only brought one back, one failed pair, because the second pair I left on the washing line at the Crown Inn in Shap. So hopefully somebody made use of them and took them. So yeah, I only came back with one. I'm looking forward to using these again and getting a better view of them. Down jacket. This is a 4-class down jacket from Decathlon. This was about £50. Super warm. Put this on in the evening after I arrived. As the sun went down, it would get chilly. And as you can see, yeah, it packs down to nothing. It weighs nothing. A really good purchase. This comes in at 0.32 kilos, so 320 grams. Next, my Rab thin long sleeve layer. This is cool. Mid zip, really lightweight, really breathable. It's got the thumb holes. I'm not too keen on that. I'd put this on in the morning. It's a bit chilly in the morning. Just takes the edge off. Really breathable. Just takes that wind factor out of the equation. Like everything else in my pack, scrunches up to nothing. I took a pair of Quechua, Decathlon's brand socks, just to have on around at camp. You know, if my socks, 360 Dry socks, were wet during the day, I would have a dry pair of socks to put on in the evening. Alright, next I'll move on to cook kit and food. This in a Sea to Summit dry bag. So again, in a resealable, just an Aldi food bag. I took the ready coffees, hot chocolates. I didn't use too many of these. I think I took maybe 10 coffees, 10 hot chocolates in all, but I didn't use them. The idea was when I got to camp I'd have a hot drink, and in the mornings I'd have a coffee with my breakfast before I left. But getting up in the morning, I just wanted to pack up and get away, so I didn't even have a drink. And in the end I didn't even have breakfast. I got up and I got at it. But yeah, just the sachets, hot chocolate and coffee. For food, the choice. Now with Coast to Coast there are pubs and stops for food and drink along the way, on a lot of it. But there were nights where camping in the lakes and places where I knew I would need a camp meal, so I went for Expedition Foods. Good thing about Expedition Foods is you can choose the calories. I think you can start at 400 or 500 and then get 800, and then you can get 1000 calorie meals. So I just went the 800 calories. And these are really good. Just add boiling water, seal it back up, leave it for I think it's 10 minutes, and then you can even rip it lower down so you can get your spoon further inside. These were really tasty. Took 5 of these. So like Thai green curry, cottage pie, chicken curry. There was a risotto dish. So these were really good. I think I only used 2 or 3 of the 5 because I ended up having food at pubs a lot more than I'd planned originally. But you have to adapt. But so anyway, about 150 grams each anyway, so it's not a lot. First aid, that didn't go in there on our trip, but we'll come to that later. Next out is my cook kit. So this is nested. It's nested in this, I forget what brand it is, Toke's titanium 750ml pot. So take the lid off. So my stove, as pretty much every camp, is the MSR Pocket Rocket 2. Very compact, pretty loud, but so reliable, and packs away lovely in my pot. MSR Piezo igniter. I did take a spare lighter just in case that failed. If it wasn't needed, that was great. And then something I've packed too tightly. It's a good job I didn't pack it like this on the walk. This would have fried my brains after a day on the trail. The last part of my cook kit. See how it's rattling around? Now you don't want that when you're walking around all day, so I will put a very thin layer, very thin. I have to emphasize how thin this layer must be. A thin layer of kitchen roll, just around the edge to stop everything rattling around. And at the end of the day, when you're having your meal or whatever as well, you've also got a bit of kitchen roll to wipe anything that might need wiping. Coleman C100 Extreme. I didn't even use half of this, I don't think, because obviously I wasn't having coffees, I wasn't having as many camp meals as I planned. So yeah, all that nested inside my 750ml Toke's pot. Gas stand for the canister. Don't always need this, but I took it. Doesn't take up a lot of space. It sits on top of there. It's a really nice system. Pot, stove, stand, igniter, and gas canister all packed away. The Toke's pot is 100 grams. The MSR Pocket Rocket is just 60 grams. The Coleman C100 gas canister is 230 grams. So you're looking at about 400 grams for my complete cook set. Stove, gas, igniter, spare lighter, stand. I think that's everything. That works really well. Titanium spork is just a tent top. I think this is off Amazon again, but it's a long handled one, which means you don't get sticky fingers when diving into your meal. That's maybe 10 grams, who cares. Life Venture mug, collapsible. This is just from Go Outdoors. And the mug just weighs 60 grams. Next thing out of my sack is my bed. So my mattress of choice is the Exped Simmat 7. I take it out of the original cover. Again, it's quite tight, and when you're trying to get out in the morning, you want everything to be as slick as possible. Just helps your mood as well. If you're faffing around and things are starting to annoy you, building up, it's not the best. So I just keep an elastic band around it, shove it in, squeeze all the air out. The Simmat 7 comes with an insulation R value of 4.9, which is great. Be good in winter, so it's perfectly fine. Does add to the weight a little bit. So this particular mat comes in at 850 grams. But that's because the insulation is a little bit narrow for some people, I would imagine, but I'm happy sleeping with my elbows off the sides or in my pockets or whatever, or sleeping on my side. Absolutely fine. It's really comfortable. When blowing it up, don't fully inflate it, leave a little bit of give, and you'll have a better night's sleep, I find. And last out of the pack is my sleeping bag. It was going to be a sleeping bag, but in the end, a couple of weeks before the walk, I decided to go for a quilt. Something else that I don't pack in its original bag. It's not particularly difficult to pack into its original sack, but in terms of packing it into the rucksack, I find it's easier to stuff it in completely free. You sort of fill out all the corners that might be wasted space if you were to pack it in a pack with solid edges and that. This sort of squashes down and fills into the bottom. It's a better use of space. And it's obviously easier to get out at the end of the day. So I've got the Flames Creed quilt from Outdoor Gear Essentials. I dealt with Colin, who's fantastic help, great guy. I think this cost me 120, but it is an import. You can get these off AliExpress, but Colin at Outdoor Gear Essentials does stock a lot of like Landshans, nature hike tents, things that you would have to pay import fees on. He gets them in, and obviously you're buying from the UK, so you can get these within a couple of days, whereas if you buy off AliExpress, which I think is like the only other place you're going to get them really, it could take a few weeks, a few months. So it squashes down to nothing. It's really, really warm. And I was always a sleeping bag kind of guy. I thought you're going to lose a lot of heat, but you don't. If your sleep system is correct, the mat underneath you has a good R value. That's where you're losing most of your heat, is through the ground. But this does come with clips, so you can clip this to two sides. All the way up, like so. So you can make a sleeping bag, essentially. That's your thing. Now this is the foot end. Doing a great sales pitch for this quilt, but this is genuine. I love this quilt. I take it on 99% of my camps now. So the bottom end has a zip that goes that far up, and there's a toggle, so you can create a foot box. You can basically create a sleeping bag, so that bottom section is all enclosed, and then you can either fasten the rest up with these little hooks, or leave it open and use the top half like a quilt. It also comes with a loft bag, the yellow compression sack. It comes with the loft bag and a couple of straps, so you can actually strap the sides and take it underneath your airbed to keep it in place. I didn't take those, didn't use those. I did on a couple of nights on a walk, zip it up and cinch this bottom down into a foot box, just to add a little bit of extra warmth. So it's got everything for me. It's lightweight, it's just under 700 grams, 20D, 90% white duck down. and has a temperature rating of 5 Celsius, which for May and maybe 3 seasons is absolutely plenty. Gotta love compression sacks. You know, the size of my backpack and more. Get that out of the way. Coupled with my air mat, the pillow I used was the Trekology pillow. Take this everywhere, it's really popular. The Aluft pillow comes in at 110 grams. Really quick to inflate. And a strap to strap onto your air mat to keep it in place. Really comfortable. Again, don't fully inflate it. Allow it a little bit of give and it will simulate a real pillow a little bit more effectively, and you'll have a better night's sleep, I find. So yeah, I've just blown it up with my mouth, which I don't mind doing. These are only, when I bought them a couple of years ago, this was £14. So I'm happy to put my breath, into this. But with my sleep mat, which I think the Simmat 7 cost just over £100, and I blow that up. It comes with a pump in the side of the air mat, which takes a few minutes. So I blow up the air mat with my hands. And I sometimes take a pump sack to pump air into it. I never use my breath on the air mat because that puts the moisture from your breath into it, which creates mold over time. And I'm spending over £100 on something, I want it to last, so I don't care so much with this. I've had this already now a couple of years and still doing the job. It's the worst sound in the morning. Everything's inflating, but it's really quick. I don't bother with it. The original sack again with this, scrunch it up into the pack. So as you might have seen, everything that's in the main body of my pack is actually stored inside another pack. This is a Niaflume pack liner, again from Outdoor Gear Essentials. I think it costs like a £5. It's 36 inches by 20 something inches. So this keeps everything in the main body watertight. It's really lightweight. I think this weighs an ounce or something. It's not even worth weighing. Waterproof, lightweight. And I think my pack sort of came to maybe here, and then I would twist it, and then I just had a couple of elastic bands. Keep it fully watertight. On the outside of the pack, now in this elasticated section on the front, I kept my sit mat. This is a full class decathlon sit mat. This isn't the one I took. The one I took didn't come back. So the one I took was a full class decathlon mat, but it was a sleep mat, which is wider. And it came as a long sleep mat, and I just cut off a section of it, so it was probably the same length, but just wider. But yeah, I lost it along the way somewhere, and I've got no idea. I can't remember where, how. So yeah, hopefully somebody made use of that and it didn't just blow off into the abyss. I don't know. Also in the stretchy part. Let's do it like this. This is better. Better? So sit mat in here. Things that I wanted to get out really quickly if I needed to. If it starts raining, these are waterproof. Waterproof choice for me was the Frog Togs. Then I took a pair of waterproof trousers. And that was pretty much everything in that front storage panel. So a waterproof jacket is a strange creation. It's the Frog Togs. It's made of what I can only describe as tissue paper. I fell over on the morning of day 2 near Honest to Slate Mine. That was a close call, saved by the walking poles. You might have seen it in my vlog, but I did rip the waterproof quite badly. I taped that up with some of the gaffer tape on my poles, and it stayed waterproof, I think. The thing is with waterproofing that, for me, I don't think there's a magic answer to like what's the best waterproof. Is there anything that's fully waterproof? If you're hiking and you're warm as well, you're creating sweat, it's not breathable. And the more breathable it is, or you're letting in more rain. I only had 1 day of rain, so for me it wasn't a problem. I found this, it was alright, baggy, cinches around the head. Yeah, it's just strange. I don't think for the long term it's a long-term investment. This cost me, and it came with waterproof bottoms as well, but the bottoms are absolutely massive. It's an American company, so check the size. This and the waterproof bottoms, £27 all in, so it was a no-brainer. Even if you just use it once, for me, like, lightweight, common theme, scrunches down to nothing, and it just in the front of my backpack for quick access. So yeah, only used this once on day 4 on the Yorkshire Dales. Did it keep me wet? I don't know, because I was sweating that much. I don't know what was sweat, what was water, it was a state. I would recommend these in the short term. Weighs just 190 grams, so it's a good option. It's just an odd one. It is an odd one. Amazon, I got that from £27.99. The bottoms, I had these already, so they're just the cheap. They're from Go Outdoors, the Regatta. Waterproof bottoms, so the pockets are just holes so that you can reach your pockets in my shorts, but also stops it being fully waterproof. And then there's clips on the bottom just to cinch it tighter around your boots, around your ankle. Some holes appearing in these as well. Now, these are just cheap as well. But they did the job. More than happy with those. So that was it for that front panel. Side panels. So it's got a drinks panel on the left and a drinks panel on the side. I had 2 bottles of 800ml smart water in there. So that would add 2 full bottles of the 800ml. That adds an extra 2 kilos to the pack. So I tried to be smart where I could and filter on the go instead of carrying water. I also kept in there my water filter, which was stuffed in. My water filter of choice is the 1 litre Catadin B3. Never had trouble with this. Yeah, it's just great. So when you're not using it, don't screw the head on, squeeze the air out, then screw the head on. And that just goes into any pocket really. So just take the lid off. Might need cleaning. Was that the outside? I don't know. Into the stream. Put the filter back in. You can either drink straight from it and go. But I would refill my water bottles. And be on the go. Love it. Good piece of kit. I think this is somewhere in the region of £40 to £50. Do look after the filter. You're supposed to get 1,000 filters out of it. But look after this. Swill it off in water. Fill this full of water. Give it a good shake. Squeeze it out. Yeah, never had a problem. Would recommend that to anybody. Only 100 grams. Very packable, which I'm a fan of. So that's good. What's next? So I'm taking you to the front. Drinks. No rain cover, I forgot to mention, because I was using the pack liner. No exterior rain cover. Didn't have the faff. So we're into the roof of the pack. So I attached, the good thing with the Exped Thunder 50 backpack, lots of attachment points on the top. I threaded some elastic through, and this, on days where I had wet socks or any wet clothing, just sit on the top and it get dry by the sun throughout the day. So it's got a rear access point here, I want to keep my first aid. Really roomy. First aid and electronics. My first aid, which was in one pack when I went, it's in two. I've been on camps since. This was 880 grams, my first aid. So that consisted of things like, I don't think I kept my head torch in there, but this is a head torch. This is literally just from Aldi. AAA batteries. Obviously won't be great in the rain. But it's never failed me yet, and I use this as a lamp in the tent as well to save taking an actual lamp. I don't think I needed this on my walk. I wasn't hiking at night. Hand sanitizer. I would keep this on me actually, in the side pouches on the waistband. Voltarol gel. In the mornings, when I had arrived at camp, get some of this into my feet and calves, just get a bit of relief. A bit like ibuprofen gel, but I always find Voltarol works a lot better. Just a small pack of like travelling simple wipes. You only get 7. One wipe each day did go a long way. Felt good. I took 2 Voltarols. Only used 1. And then some travel size sun cream. Also in my first aid. An assortment of plasters, different sizes, and some Compeed blister plasters came in useful. Had big blisters between my big toe and first toe, which is odd. Just took the edge off there, but my shoes and socks, the combo was right because blisters weren't a problem. The one I got on both feet between my toes didn't give me a lot of trouble. I put a Compeed on it, but on the soles of my feet, no blisters. Over 200 miles, 8 days. That's really good going. I was pleased with that. Biodegradable toilet paper. Self-explanatory really. My trowel. Here's a story. I don't go into it too much because I'll get in trouble, but you can see it's bent. Used this once. Was it a successful use of the trowel? This is I think it's a Lixada. This is from Outdoor Gear Essentials as well. And it cost like a 10 quid or something. But the ground I used it on, when I was in dire need of usage, the ground was too hard. So this wasn't capable of digging a hole. I had to improvise. Sure, it'll be great on softer ground when I'm not in as much of a rush, but yeah, that bent a little bit. That's lightweight, I think that's 14 grams. Mosquito repellent, not needed at all. Jungle formula that is. I didn't use it once. I didn't get into any trouble with bugs. No bother at all with midges. The one time I camped, twice actually, the first 2 nights, by the river Lisa and night 2 by Grisdale Town, where you would expect midges by the water. There was just nothing. So I timed it really well, didn't need that. And then just the roll of vet wrap, which I used on my feet a couple of days just to give a bit more support. Some good strapping. That's like what they use on horses and that, but it's good for sports injuries and taping yourself up. So that's my first aid pack. There is something else I use for first aid, but I go through my the pack that was on me during the day that I used frequently. So yeah, that's the back entry, the top entry point of the hood. There's also storage on the underside of the hood, and that's where I keep my electronics. USB charger, batteries, things like that. Yeah, now the backpack is empty, I can go through what I think of it in a bit more detail. The backpack isn't empty. On the hip belt, there's a pocket on each side. And then here, I keep like compass, hand gel, pocket tool. This came in quite handy for tightening up my hiking poles when I start to get a bit loose with the compass. So yeah, The hoops for the poles, I didn't use them because I use my hiking poles non-stop. But there's so many different attachment points down here on both sides. What I did, I've taken it off since, but like with the top, I put some bungee and threaded it through all the way down, and this gave me my coat and the piece would be in here, but then that gave me an extra bit of storage on the outside, which is where I actually kept my sit pad. I also safety pinned my MS sponsor shirt on here via these hooks. There's just hooks everywhere, which is great. I love that about this pack. There's access without undoing the top of your backpack. So if you undo the Velcro near the top, you can pull down and access anything without actually undoing the lid, which is really cool. You've got to get something that you know is midway. Drink holders, yeah, so I kept an 800 milliliter smart water in each one. I found this pretty good. I found you have to be quite rough with your arm. You can get a bit painful reaching around while you're on the move. But these are adjustable. There's different hooks for the heights of where you want it to sit. I would just make these a little bit more accessible. Reaching around sort of kills you off a little bit. But no, it's really comfortable. Hooks again on the front. So I made like a makeshift with bungee for my hiking poles whenever I stowed them away, which was never. This was really comfortable. So the X-Ped Thunder 50 rucksack comes in at 1.68 kilos. There are lighter backpacks, but there are a lot heavier backpacks. It's so comfortable. And it's important to learn how to fully wear a backpack properly. That sounds a bit stupid, but it's something I wasn't really aware of or hadn't thought about before I started the walk, so I'll demonstrate. I don't know if I've got enough space for this, but basically, first thing you should do, have that sitting on your hips. This is the first thing you do up. You should be carrying your weight on your hips, unless you've, I was going to say, unless you've got a bad back or something wrong with your hips. I've got a bad lower back, but this worked for me. Strap that up. That should be your tightest strap. The weight of the backpack should not be on your shoulders. Your hips should take the weight. Then pull the arms in tight, and then the chest strap merely just keeps everything in place. That should be a little bit loose. Sounds pretty simple, but try and take as much of the weight as you can on your hips. 1.8 kilos for the backpack, all in with the water. My pack came to about 12 kilos, which is great going for a 9-day through hike. Yeah, I recommend it a lot. This is so comfortable. I'm not lying when I say, for the majority, I didn't feel like I was carrying anything. Honestly, that good, that comfortable. Have it strapped up correctly, have everything loaded correctly. It's a really good pack. I got this from Valley and Peak, and it set me back, I think, 170-ish, 180 maybe. But yeah, no regrets, great pack. Really adjustable, customizable, loads of compression straps. Love it, so comfortable, would recommend. And it's pretty sexy as well, so that's good. Another thing I did to take some weight off, and I didn't want to be stopping too much on the hike. So with like snacks, charger, map and whatever, I wanted them accessible. So I took the chest pouch, which I'm really glad I did. So this, it's aimed to clip onto your straps here and be accessible here, but I was wearing the MS top, so I wanted the logo of those tops to to be on display all the time. So I cinched it down a little bit lower. Basically wore it as a fanny pouch. Fanny pouch. And wore it a bit lower. So it's not waterproof. So I put 2 grommets in the bottom. So that if any standing water got in, it was released. It'll get wet really quickly. Everything inside it will get wet quickly. They allow the water to drain if water gets in there. Like with everything else in the pack, everything here, although it's not now, is stored in the clear Aldi food bags. So I would always have the map in that, so I could get it out in the rain. So yeah, in here, map. My mate Vaseline. Yeah. That was much needed. I ran into a lot of trouble. I'm not going to go into it. Chafing is a big issue if you make the same mistake I did. I'm going to have to explain the pain I was in at some point. I didn't explain it on my vlogs. Maybe in the future. Microphone. When I was vlogging, sometimes used it, sometimes didn't. What else was in here? So my power pack. So the power pack I took was the Anchor. I forget which one it is, but it's got 7 full charges in it. It's the Anchor Power Core 26800. Got it off Amazon. It was about 40 something pounds. Like I say, 7 full charges in it. It does weigh half a kilo, but I was willing to take that weight on. So it was fully charged before I left, and I didn't get close to using 7 full charges because pubs, when you drop into pubs, cafes and wherever, make use of their power. And I used this at camp a few times, so USB. Took with me in the pack. Half a kilo, like I say, quite heavy, very heavy for a power pack, but it's a substantial power pack. And in here I would also, although I haven't got them now, my snacks for the days. So I didn't eat too much on the walk. It's mad. You don't get as hungry as you think you would when you're focused and trundling along. I kept a waterproof pouch, the Aldi food bags. I kept one of those full of the dried mango pieces and, you know, the corn snacks that you get, like Gray's corn snacks. Whacked a load of those and dried mango in a bag and just sort of picked away at it throughout the day. And I would go with that lunch most of the days. That would give me the energy I needed just to see me through to tea. Going back to breakfast as well, I took a kilo bag of overnight oats that I made up. So oats, dried fruits, protein powder, which I'd put in here before I went to bed every night, fill it with water and let it dry soak and have it in the morning. I had it on morning 1, and from morning 2 onwards, everything became about time. And so from morning 2 onwards, I didn't have any coffee in the morning and I didn't have my overnight oats. So I got to night 6 at the Bluebell in Ingleby Cross, and I just left them out my pack because I still had about 800 grams, and I should have done it sooner when I decided I wasn't going to eat them. So I left them out on the side of the pub. So yeah, that's my pack done, fully explained. I hope I've gone through everything clear enough and covered everything. There's probably a couple of things that I've missed out unintentionally. I think it pretty much mirrors what I took on the coast to coast and how I used it. Hopefully that comes in useful if you're thinking of doing the walk, weren't sure on what gear to choose. A lot of people do this as sort of like a holiday over 2 weeks or so. So with the aim of being lightweight, that's where my gear choices stem from, packing everything down to the smallest possible size. If you're thinking of doing the walk, go for it, don't hesitate. I wasn't that nervous because I planned it down to a T obsessively. I was full of adrenaline in the weeks before the walk. By the time it came to the walk, on the morning of it, I didn't really feel anything. I wasn't excited, I wasn't nervous. It was like game time. It's just got a job to do. I'd go back and do it in a heartbeat. So yeah, if you're thinking about it, go for it. Don't think about it, go for it. The best experience of my life. I can't wait to do it again, do things like it again. Things I would change, honestly, from the pack I've just shown you, I wouldn't change anything. I did research religiously everything that I took, so there wasn't much scope for failure in any of the parts really. One regret is leaving behind one of my pairs of waterproof socks and losing my sit mat wherever the hell that went. Everything, backpack, everything perfect. Tent, Lanshan too. If you want a tent for a through hike, get a trekking pole tent. The Lanshan is absolutely fantastic. My gear choices stemmed from the way that I planned to do it. So I did it in less than 9 days. So I researched quite deeply into lightweight gear, you know, how I could save weight, where I could save weight. I'd never done anything like this before. I've never hiked. I've been to the Lake District, but I've never hiked in the Lake District. So I just went for it. I'm pretty fit, but there are people on the way I saw who were a lot older than me and doing it at their pace. Just go for it. You don't have to try and race like I sort of did. Go for it. If you're nervous, got any worries, feel the fear and do it anyway. That's what I try and live by. Do it all again in a heartbeat. Wouldn't hesitate. I took a map, but I didn't use it that much because I had the map downloaded on OS Maps on my phone, which I used every day. But it's nice to have that backup. So yeah, any questions relating to my gear, the walk, any tips you want, feel free to ask, I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching, see you on the next one.